Hello, and welcome to the Rag Company podcast. And man, I'm excited. We've got some great guests today. Levi's out, so don't worry about him. He's invisible. But we have some excellent guests. Gentlemen, I'll start with Jimbo Balaam. Please introduce yourself to the audience.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me, guys. I'm super excited about this. And if the past 5 minutes of pre-recording has been any indication of how this podcast is going to go, it's going to be phenomenal. So thanks for having me.
Solid start. And above him, Ian. What's going on, Ian?
What's up, guys? I'm Ian. I'm wearing the wrong hat.
You're waiting for your moment, Ian.
I got to represent everybody here.
As you should.
I don't have a Rag Company hat, which I want.
Don't worry. We'll send you one. I don't know if you got room on the rack for it, but please. No, we'll take one too. Just saying.
I'm Ian from Autofiber. I've been wearing gloves for the last 2 months. I've got
man comes prepared.
So.
Yes. Are you staying moisturized under those gloves? Or you put lotion on and then kind of locking it in?
Oh man, I'm so moisturized.
I'm glad you followed up with surized, because otherwise. All right, so this is great. We're starting off strong. At any rate, guys, it's so great to have you here. I've wanted to have you guys on the podcast for a long time, and this is fun because we could talk shop, we could do interesting stuff. Yeah, there's stuff going on outside, but we don't have to like jump right into that right away. We got some questions for you guys. So, Anthony, you want to start us off here?
Yeah. So. Obviously, with everything going on right in the outside world right now, I think that a lot of us are probably taking on projects and getting stuff done around the house and doing things, here that we can, right? And so I've been going through my own vehicles and detailing and doing that and whatnot. So kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts. Like, what have you guys been doing around the house? Have you guys been staying up on detailing? Have you guys been kind of venturing out and, out to the front yard, knocking out any tasks, things like that? And so Jimbo, we'll pass it on to you. What's been going on?
So luckily I have like an office warehouse setup that I can hide out at, because I have 3 young kids, all under 7, and trying to work at home is virtually impossible. So I do have my little cave that I can come hide out to. As far as my detailing business is concerned, there's not really much going on in that realm. A few details here and there, but nothing too crazy. Welcome back, Levi. And
guys.
But really taking this time to really try to set up my business for success when this ends, right? So just making sure I got my customer list in order, and then any work that I can do, because I do a few other things other than detailing, the work that I can do, keep that going. And then if there's work that I can do from home, I'm really hammering down on that. So yeah.
Heck yeah. Ian, what about you?
Yeah, I've been doing, when business gets slower, I get busier. So it's like an inverse relationship. So I've been working more than ever, longer. And fortunately, I've got a basement in my house, which is rare in California.
Yeah.
And so I can go and hide from my kids at home. The other thing I have is I'm a musician. I play the bass and guitar and stuff, but I bought my sons a drum set for Christmas.
Oh no!
So
Anthony's listening now for sure.
So I've been learning.
I have a. You can't see, but I do have a drum set behind me in this room. So
nice. So I've been teaching myself and learning drums. Like I've been doing like a bunch of rudiments. There's a book called Stick Control, so where you learn paradiddles and all this stuff. So that's kind of what I've been doing away from work. And then I've been doing a lot of gardening and stuff. We have a pretty nice yard, but it's got like crazy, like the weeds just go nuts. And so I've just been pulling weeds like crazy. That's actually one reason I have to wear gloves, is because my hands are just all cut up from pulling weeds.
So you don't wear gloves when you garden, but then you wear them to the office. Got it.
No, I like to get the dirt. It's like a visceral thing,
It's a manly thing, is what it is. Get the dirt underneath your fingernails.
I'm just doing dude stuff. Let me clean this up. Got it.
Yeah, that's dirt.
No, it's exactly how it is. I mean, I was just telling my wife, she doesn't even know. I've been knocking stuff out around the house, and so I went out and I I fertilized the yard. I sprayed Roundup because, you know, it kind of creeps up on you, especially this time of year, because, you know, crap just grows. You'll go inside your house for a night and you'll come out the next morning and you'll have something that's 3 feet tall. And you're like, how did I even miss that? But it's same concept though. I'm out there, I'm grabbing, I'm spraying Roundup. I'm grabbing weeds that I just sprayed the Roundup with, and I'm doing it without gloves. And I'm like, I've been doing gloves for literally everything else, right, in my daily life, but I'm not doing it for the most chemically harsh stuff that I'm using, and it makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, just rolling with it.
just doing it. Well, so I guess going from that, because I know a lot of the people we've been talking to here on these podcasts, we've been trying to like focus on obviously a lot of the positives and things like that in terms of like, you know, what you can be doing in the spare time. So for example, I know me and Levi are both doing some product testing and testing things out. And so Levi had a detail, I think, last weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a couple cars last weekend that I was working on, but a lot of it is that I've got time to mess around with some stuff. So not only with just taking care of my own fleet, but, you know, I'm still detailed because in Idaho, we still don't, you know, we're practicing social distancing and, you know, the bars and restaurants are closed, but a lot of businesses other than the federal
are a lot of cars out there still
are
people
open still
around.
And people are still working. So, you know, really the only thing that's been enacted is social distancing, and then, you know, bars and restaurants and federal businesses shut down. So, so I still am getting calls from families who just want to get their car cleaned. You know, I'm not touting or, you know, they're customers of mine that I've known for years, and those that I feel comfortable doing their cars, I'll do them. The other ones, I'm you know, I'm kind of picking and choosing what I want to do and what I want to work on. So I've been able to do that, but because of that, I have, you know, the ability to product test, and like Anthony said, you know, we've been able to grab a couple things that maybe we've been just sitting in the office, that have been sitting in our office for quite a while, that we're finally getting to touch. You know, like right behind me, there's 3 bottles of product back there that have been sitting in my office for like 3 weeks, and I haven't been able to touch them. So I brought them home because now I can actually like play with them and use them. So we're trying to do the best, you know, get the most out of the situation as we possibly can. So I also had to fix the front bumper on my Suburban. So I was able to work on that also last weekend, which was nice. So got a new
because you're looking at becoming a professional rapper, right? I mean, and not in the music industry, but we would say that it's.
I wouldn't expect that.
Great. It's not.
Well, at 40 years old, let me just say, at 40 years old, I felt that it was time, after 23 years in the industry, I needed to learn some different skills. So 2 of those skills was vinyl wrapping and leather repair. So I've been working tirelessly to get the vinyl wrapping done, but the leather repair, I've figured out I need more practice on it. So,
do you think detailing has helped you with that, or do you think you've gotten like picked up skills that you could use for detailing because of the new skills you're learning with vinyl wrap or leather repair, or vice versa? Or are they like completely 2 different worlds, or 3
they're
different
different worlds? Well, they're what's scary when I learned the leather repair was I realized I was, you know, ignorant when it came to leather. You know,
there's some
like
most things you can do wrong. Yeah.
You know, like most detailers, I just assume it's the same as vinyl and plastic, and you're just cleaning and scrubbing. And for a lot of it, I was, you know, but once I took a color lock class and was like, oh, I don't know anything.
Like,
this is scary.
Yeah,
right.
Will open your mind like that.
Got it.
Right. It was like all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, I've been doing things wrong. Where, you know, with vinyl wrapping, once I started learning it, I was more upset at myself for waiting to be 40 years old to learn it. Like I look at it and go like, man, I should have been, you know, 10 years ago, I should have started working on this, you know, at least added this into my repertoire. You know, so, and a lot of it is just, I look at my kids and, you know, I was raised a detailer. My parents were detailers. And so I look at my next generation, my children, and going like, if I can teach myself how to do one thing really good, like maybe get leather repair down or get, you know, vinyl wrapping down, as another 2 skills that I could pass on, you know, to when my kids, you know, my son becomes a teenager, possibly we could run a little business out of the garage, you know, that I can bring him into and give him something to do, maybe work his way through college, doing something like that, or vice. It's just it's a pipe dream, but it's a dream nonetheless. That
I got an idea for your son. He can sell some towels on the internet.
Be a towel monger.
I'll send him to San Diego. He can come work for you.
There you go.
It'll work out perfect.
Switch it up. Yeah.
I'm gonna sell him towels at cost.
Yeah. He probably like that.
Sounds like a plan.
Well, Levi, you're right in the fact that when it comes to taking on a new skill, that is kind of adjacent to detailing, right? So there's several skills out there, and people really overlook in one specific area would be leather repair, because everything that's as intricate on paint is the same exact way with leather. And from listening to Lars Rand from Color Lock, you realize that it is a lot just like paintwork. It's a lot of this exact same thing you're doing, except you're sanding instead of polishing. You're cleaning, you're recoating, you're doing color, you're doing things like that. And it's so intricate, it's crazy. But to the point of what skills, where does your detailing eye, pass over into those other adjacent areas? Well, it's a curse and a blessing, because we have I would say it's the confidence to be able to tackle that, but it's also thinking okay, so I'm wrapping this panel, I'm doing this panel. I don't want to wrap this panel with swirls underneath, because I feel like that's wrong. I feel like I need to fix this panel before I do that, because I'm wrapping it in time essentially. And it's the same thing with PPF and all those other things. So that's how I think. When I attempt to PPF something, I can't use a razor blade to save my life, but I think I really
they have
wish
plastic razor blades.
Oh, I'm even worse with those.
He'll probably hurt himself with that.
No, I put myself in the hospital a couple months ago. But anyway, it's hard.
But Anthony was right. When we did the Suburban, so this used to be Jeff's Suburban. I ended up buying it from Jeff, the owner of the rag company. I ended up buying this from him. And we thought, well, he gave me such a great deal. Let's turn it into, we turned it into Ragnarok. So it's got the rag company logo. It's got all the companies that we distribute for on it. And we invited, Justin Pate, who's a good friend of ours, to do a whole Wrap Institute live on it. Well, what he does is he comes in just like any detail trainer, shows up, calls a couple guys that around the area that are good wrappers, asks, hey, do you want to come help me do this in front of a bunch of other wrappers and try and teach some skills and techniques. It'd basically be like a bunch of detailers getting together and 4 detailers just detailing a car completely and having people watch. But one thing we noticed, this was our second one we'd done. The first one, Anthony and I were cringing because we didn't prep that car. That car just showed up. These wrap installers just completely started pulling mirrors, pulling door handles, pulling door pan. I mean, they were just stripping this car, and we were watching them go around and pull emblems with screwdrivers. Right? And then take those screwdrivers.
We're going to cover it up anyway. No worries.
Oh, yeah. No, and that's the mentality. And that's the mentality is these guys just go and they're like, we're wrapping it. It's going to be covered. No one's going to see it. And when I did this, I took a good week and a half because I had to remove pinstripes. I had to remove emblems. I had to remove all the side molding. And then when I removed all that, I was going through it. I was like, well, now I got to polish the truck out to make sure that it's at least smooth because I had clayed it and did all. And I was like, I just want to get this surface as prepped as possible so they can. I didn't coat it. I didn't do anything. I just kept it naked. But I prepped it because I wanted them to be able to do a good job. And I didn't want somebody to walk up and go, oh, I better grab my scraper and scrape this off and scratch my truck. And I pulled all the mirrors off myself. I pulled all the door handles off. Anthony was helping me and we were working, getting it all set up the night before. And it was funny to see the look on these guys' faces when they walked up and started looking at the truck and they were like, wow, this is the nicest prep job they've ever seen. And I'm like, well, it's because I'm a detailer. So it's a very different, mentality that a lot of these guys don't have. But it's, again, an industry that maybe we're not, as detailers, aren't noticing as much, even though there's a lot of crossover.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a good point. Oh, sorry. Did I cut somebody off there?
There you go, Dane.
Oh, okay. No, I was going to carry on because I wanted to ask Ian some questions, being microfiber people, we understand that, detailing is obviously a part of this, but wait,
The
what's going on,
microfiber
Levi?
king.
I think the word is princes of microfiber.
Well,
I mean, that's the actual term.
You could go that route if
being
you really
princes
wanted
of
to.
Microfiber kings.
Princesses.
Princesses, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll just roll with that. So I wanted to ask, like, as far as products go, yes, there's detailing, but there's also cleaning products. I mean, it goes, beyond that. So have you noticed a difference in the way people are approaching, purchasing their microfiber since this has started to ramp up?
Yes. So before everywhere went on lockdown, and I don't know if you guys noticed this. Well, like we had talked about before, we all kind of had a good idea that this was coming because we deal with China. And so, China was shut down for, all through, February and all through March. So we kind of had an idea this was coming. Most of our customers and friends and stuff didn't really understand or take it seriously. But once the stock market started crashing at the end of February,
they paid attention then.
Right. I started getting a lot of customers who were trying to make runs on our products, right? Like it was toilet paper or something. So I don't know if you guys had the same thing happen. I had customers trying to buy like all of our stock of a certain item that they bought before, and they're trying to secure their inventory, for the future, because they're calling us and asking us, and I'm telling them, look, we haven't gotten shipments for, 4 to 6 weeks. I don't know when.
I thought you guys only dealt with South Korea, not China.
Oh, no. We
have China and South
Korea. We do both.
Yeah. China. I mean, China is the main one for us. South Korea is kind of just supplemental. It didn't used to be like that when I first started. All we bought was from Korea. There was no microfiber even made in China when I started. But yes, so definitely it's really good for microfiber business. But now it's started to kind of slow down a little bit more as the rest of like California went on lockdown before pretty much anywhere else. And as that kind of cycles through the rest of the country, our order volume has continued to fall. So we're operating like on a limited basis here. We're only shipping Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I only have like half the staff coming in. And we're kind of taking it, day to day, week by week to kind of decide, how to move forward. So like, for example, the government in San Diego is all of a sudden starting to kind of threaten, that, people are going to start to get tickets and arrested for being out. So if that is like a real thing and it starts to progress, I'm not going to have my employees come here.
Oh, absolutely.
No, don't put them in the line of fire.
I can operate the business at a limited capacity for, all by myself. But I just don't even know. It's too hard to make decisions with
a lot of uncertainty on pretty much every front. Yeah.
And you can try to make a decision. Like, for example, earlier this week, and I haven't been having half my employees come in, for the last 2 weeks since we went on lockdown. But there's kind of been uncertainty as to how we were going to do it, if we were going to put employees on furlough. And so I decided to put, a bunch of my staff on furlough so that they could go collect unemployment, because, a lot of them will actually make more money on unemployment. And I thought it was wrong to keep them on getting paid, even though there's all these loans you can get.
Sure. Yeah.
But now that's kind of changing. I don't know. So I'm applying for all the different loans that the business can get through the SBA just to see what happens. So who knows, maybe next week I'll have all my employees back on the payroll.
You can certainly hope that things will turn around. I know this is going to be a prolonged thing for most people. It's just starting to hit a lot of, the middle of the country and, other parts where the coast seem to be more effective first, because of course that's where international flights are mostly, appearing. But this has been interesting to see the shift in the way all the behaviors happen.
For my business and your guys' business, like the future is good. right?
Because, we're in a relatively solid footing compared to a lot of folks. I feel so bad, seeing just the amount of hardship that a lot of folks are in now, and employees of businesses that restaurants and stuff. It's really tightened down there. But we have noticed on our end, say like a difference in the types of orders you're seeing. You're getting less from the bigger customers. You're getting more from individuals who are suddenly finding a lot of free time at home. They're like, oh, I want to learn how to work on my car. You're seeing some of that. And you can just tell looking at the orders that are going out the door. You're like, oh, that's someone who's a fan of insert this person here. You can just see like the styles of orders that are happening. It's interesting to kind of see what's happening there. But I didn't know if you'd seen a similar kind of incidence on your end.
Yeah, it's definitely similar. So like I said, like at the end of February, like the wholesale part of our business was going crazy because customers were running on our products.
Right.
And the wholesale part of the business has kind of waned, consistently. But we're still shipping out pallets to other companies across the country. And, we're still getting, smaller orders. And also, man, like just the type of product that we sell for cleaning, like we sell a lot of products into the hospital, hospitals and, janitorial,
hospitals and hospitality.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, hospitality is probably going to be down. For
that's
a long time. Right. Yeah. And then, other parts of the business, like we sell a lot of like sports and golf towels and gym towels and stuff, and that is way down.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's, like Amazon, we can't, most of our products, like the automotive products, we can't send to Amazon for them to fulfill.
Did that open back up yet though? Or is that opening on the 5th? Or
it's supposed to, but I don't know if it's going to. We'll see. I hope it does. Because
the way everything is categorized on there, you notice like overnight when they changed that, it was okay, we got to be ready to fulfill by our own company, handle this stuff to make it work.
Yeah, so I have that. So there's too much uncertainty. Like I can change all my FBA products to FBM, but I haven't done that yet.
Yeah,
because of the uncertainty in terms of like employees coming to work, and do I really want to, in an ideal situation, I would, but there's just too much uncertainty.
Yeah, you got a responsibility to your people to keep them safe and healthy as best you can possibly do. So it's definitely got to put the human factor in there too.
Yeah. So man, I've been having my employees wear masks and gloves and social distancing since long before this started. For
that's great.
Probably like 6 weeks, because I was worried about this from the beginning. Before they shut down the schools in California, I was trying to get my wife not to send my son to school. I was telling her she was the equivalent of an anti-vaxxer for sending him to school.
Just a little bacteria factory, hospitals and schools, and pumping them out.
For example, like my parents haven't seen my kids in a long time because that is the danger, for older people.
Yeah, the elderly parents, everything like that. You got to really look out for them.
But yeah, in the long run, man, I am super bullish on microfiber and selling stuff on the internet.
Yeah.
Now, the only like downward pressure I see is the fact that a lot of these products are from China. So, we'll see how, people start reacting to that.
Has China production started back up again for you guys, or not really?
We haven't received any shipments that shipped after the Chinese New Year, which was like the very beginning of February. We have bookings now that are supposed to leave like in the next couple days. So all the factories that I deal with are acting like they are. I'm like a see it to believe it kind of guy though. So once the products are on the water and I've got those bill of ladings, then I'll be like, okay, China's back to work.
Yeah. And then you wonder about the ports too. I mean, there's questions there.
Yeah, exactly. What's going to happen at the ports in China? Because there's delays there, and then can be issues at the ports here.
Yeah. Well, and people who aren't familiar with the microfiber business probably don't even think about Chinese New Year that much unless they're living in China or they celebrate it. So as far as the significance of it to you or me, you kind of want to explain what it is to the folks watching.
Yeah, well, I mean, what happens is most of the people in China, they kind of live and work at the factories, right? So they have like campuses that they live at. And what happens is they have, their big Chinese New Year celebration at the beginning of February, end of January, and everyone pretty much goes on vacation. And they all kind of go back home to wherever they live. And so the virus outbreak, so normally, like for our normal business operations, it adds like, 3 to 4 weeks onto the production and delivery time for the product. So the lead time, but what I found is the lead time on products normally, like ordered between November and February, adds about a month of the, delay. Whereas this time, it's adding like 3 months of delay. Because what happens is there becomes a big backlog, like companies start ordering more products and extra products to get ahead of the Chinese New Year, and then because the factories are closed, and then it takes longer, for the factory to get back up and running.
And that's something. I mean, we do that too when we know it's coming. So we really do our best to try and figure out, like, okay, realistically, what do we expect to need more of, and really try and plan that out. And then we do that as best we can before it hits, because once it does, you can't do anything with that for a while. So you're kind of sitting that out until it comes back. But this year is different ball game. For sure.
Totally different ball game. One thing I have noticed, and I don't know if you guys noticed, and I never really looked into it, like 10 years ago, it seems like they took a longer vacation for Chinese New Year. So it seems like they used to take like 3 weeks to a month off. I don't know if anyone else out there can confirm this. I didn't get a chance to, and now
I'd want to hear what they say about that. Cause I'm not sure.
So now it seems like they're only taking like a week off or something.
Just a week? I was thinking it was at least still 2 or possibly.
Well, it depends. But different factories are different, right? And part of it too is like, and what I've been trying to explain to people when it comes to microfiber, there isn't like a microfiber factory. Right?
No, and that's the part I always love trying to explain to people. It's like, guys, this isn't just this one place does all of it. And therefore, if you see, this guy has something similar to that guy, it's the same. It's like, well, no.
Yeah, well, so there's the yarn supplier, there's the knitting, and then there's the dye houses, and then there's the cut sew operations. And so the different factories go on different vacation times. Like they kind of have them staggered. Like the dye house was closed at a different time than the cut and sew operation. And then what happened, and I don't know if you guys noticed this, just being in communications like all through February and March with the factories, is, they kept pushing back the time, that they would be closed, right? Originally they were coming back, February 12th, and then, the 23rd, and then the 30th, and then it was into March, right? So there was just so much uncertainty with kind of the same thing that's happening here, right? Now, with all the laws and regulations and everything to do. But so to get back to the question, yes, it seems like they're shipping. And so, hopefully I've got a bunch of cool new products that were ready to go, right? And they all just got delayed. Like Jimbo knows, he's been testing them. And I've been telling him not to show them to too many people. I'm not gonna have
He's got him at his desk right in front of him. He's just trying to keep him low.
Someone comments on a video like, "What was that thing?" And I'm like, "What?"
Little do they realize that entire drink behind him, it's actually a towel.
Yeah, like that. It's just a fake background. I don't know what.
You didn't see a thing.
It's like delete ban user for sure.
So what I wanted to ask, Jimbo, I know that, you've obviously still been putting out your YouTube content. You've still been doing all your testing and whatnot. So just kind of wanted to pick your brain. Is there anything that you're really liking nowadays in terms of, protection products? I know that seems to be kind of the biggest hot topic in terms of detailing chemicals. And so just wanted to kind of hear from you, how's everything going on that front? Are you liking anything more than the other? Have you any new favorites or anything like that have popped up recently?
So just yesterday I got it, but played with it a little bit longer, and I think it's more geared for a consumer. But Turtle Wax launched a black spray wax and a one-step polish for black. And I'll say this as a caveat. I don't think it's a professional product, right? Okay. Because clear coat is clear coat, right? For the consumer though, I think that product could be cool because they had it as a whole kit. So they have a one step and then a spray, and it comes with a pad, and it's kind of the perfect pad for the liquid. Cause you know how that is an endless debate of like, well, which pad is perfect for this liquid? Yeah. And it's like, it depends. Right. And so I think for those of us that have experience with it, we can kind of mess around with any liquid and pad combo. Right. But if you're looking at a normal consumer that has a black car that just wants their black car to look good.
Just tell me what to do.
Tell me what to do, right?
Give me the thing. I'll take it. Just tell me.
Right. Yeah. So I have a video coming out on that. That's kind of cool. I do like a good, better, best, like a spray only, because it's meant to really be used as a kit. So, but I tried as like a spray only, mainly to look at filling capabilities of the spray. And then if you use the one step by hand and then the one step by machine, as far as so that's kind of cool for like black cars. The chemical resistance on that, I guess, isn't as much as say on other sprays. But I'm trying to think off the top of my head any other one that I've tried lately. So I just demoed. It was funny. The company Torque Detail emailed me, and they were like, "Oh, bro, we could totally make it through your torture test," and blah blah blah. And I was like, here we go again, right? Like, oh boy, send it, right?
Yeah.
And so they did, and they're another one of those internet brands, right? Which I call them Facebook ad brands, whatever. And I haven't released it yet, but I'll kind of do a teaser on this one. Their product actually performed pretty well. I was kind of eating my words. So it's a little bit more on the expensive side. I think it's $40 for 8 ounces. And again, they're hitting that consumer market, so it's pretty expensive. But easy to use, goes on good, and made it through the torture test pretty good. Especially compared to, I'll tell you what I've been disappointed with is some of the McGuire's products, and I like all those guys, but I've been kind of disappointed in especially their sealant, their Pro Ceramic Sealant M27, whatever the long name is.
Yeah, the one that comes in the gallon now, right?
Yeah. I was a little disappointed in that one. It goes on really easily and stuff like that, but it just didn't seem to really have anything there. So.
Yeah. Well, so we don't really publicize it, but like we also do like a lot of like I'll pick up consumer products, right? Because I'm always curious to learn. I think that's totally. You're always after information. You're always after things, and just to kind of know where the market's at. And I think that I would say anybody that is a seller of chemicals, or anybody that is even remotely into detailing or is in that retail market, should also do testing on their own as well, just to kind of see where things are at. And I'll admit that there's some products out there that you can pick up on a shelf that I was like skeptical about.
Sure.
And then I use it and I say, well, crap, that was pretty nice. And then I'm like, well, and that smelled really good too. And the whole experience,
the green ceramic spray is a good product, and you could pick it up on the shelf at pretty much any auto parts store, and that's a great product. So that I think that chasm that gap that used to be really wide between the like professional products and the consumer products are kind of, that gap is dwindling. There's still a lot of junk out there, but that junk I'm realizing is everywhere, not just in like consumer only,
Oh yeah. That's why it's, it's important to test things. And I like going back to what you're saying about the whole, the black and the black line of whatever wax, whatever sealant that was. So they actually, I can't remember, I don't think it was McGuire's. It may have been Turtle Wax. It was probably roughly 8 years ago. They did have a black specific and a white specific car wax. It was a whole kit as well. And so it's definitely a play on the consumer, obviously, to change their perception, because anybody that's getting into that, or they just bought their first car, the first thing they're going to do is go to an O'Reilly's. They're going to go to a shop or Pet Boys or whatever they are. And they look on the shelf and they say, okay, well, look at this. Oh, wow, this is meant for black cars.
Yeah, right.
That's that sounds like what I need,
it
right?
sounds, yeah, right. It sounds legit.
You have to fight that urge that's built into you once you've learned some of the stuff over time of like my instinct now when I hear stuff like it's for a black car, it's for I roll my eyes instantly because I'm just, oh, come on.
I know.
But as a consumer, you really got to step out if you're like, I'm seasoned pro, I understand this stuff. And it's not a better than or worse than thing when it comes to people.
Just have more knowledge.
Just a person, but it's just understanding, okay, the marketing is there because it works, but then you have the ethical question of like, well, is it okay to say that? I mean, it's not wrong. It does work to a degree, but does it work better than something else?
But that even transcends colored cars, and I think we all have a good grasp on just chemicals in general. And I feel like and I don't know if you guys feel the same, I get tricked all the time with these new chemicals that come out with their marketing, right? Or their verbiage. And it's like, wait, what? Is that even
it's an avalanche of catchphrases and like just buzzwords and they're too much, man.
Totally.
Too much.
And I'm sure you guys have your people that reach out to you and like, hey, have you tried this? What do you think of this? And I read it and I'm like, I don't know what it is. Like I don't even know what it is.
So tell me what it does without all the stuff. Just tell me functionally, what does it do? How should I expect it to perform? And then let me see if it matches up experience-wise to what you're telling me. And I'll see how it fits into everything else.
Yep. Yeah. And Dane, one of the hardest things is we do, like Jimbo, we do a live Q&A every Thursday.
Yeah.
And that opens up a big can of worms because we have people who are, actively asking us questions. Hey, use this product. It's not working. How do I solve it? And we're like, I've never used that product.
I want to help you, but
I can't.
Alibaba, what?
Right. Yeah. And you're like, I'm sorry, man. I appreciate you coming to us for help, but I don't have any experience with that product.
There's no label except the return address says Kazakhstan. It's like,
but
I don't know what to do with
you
this.
feel bad because you're like, I didn't even know that was a product. I did I did a live this morning with the Color Lock team, and a guy emailed or wrote in the comments, and it was a product I had never even heard of. And he's like, it's not working in the IK sprayers. And I said, let me look this up. Let me go. Like,
what genre of product is this?
And then I find out it's naphtha. It's a pure solvent. And I'm like, he's putting lacquer thinner in a IK sprayer and then asking why it's breaking the IK sprayer.
It's because the sprayer doesn't work.
I'm like, it's not
definitely
the sprayer's fault. You're using a heavy
burn
solvent.
Turn it,
write it off.
Missing a seal. The seal dissolved when I put this down.
It's leaking.
But it's surprising still. Like, and I think it just comes with the years of experience we have in the industry and learning about chemicals and learning about that we know what certain things can do and certain things can't do and what they can handle, what they can't handle. And it's, for all the good questions, there's a lot of bad questions and a lot of questions where you hope that those folks that are listening are somewhat intelligent or using common sense in general.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to
not so common.
Oh, sorry, Anthony, go ahead.
We try to field as many of these questions as we can, but some of my favorites are like Levi. We had an email the other day, and it's just not necessarily a bad thing, but I mean, this guy emailed us and said, "Hey, I got this IK sprayer." And
he called us,
or he called us. Yeah, he says, "I got this IK sprayer. I'm putting this stuff in it. This megafoam product. This isn't working. I can't figure out what the dilution is. What is it?" And then I wouldn't have even thought to ask this, but Levi says, "Well, where'd you buy this from?" He's like, "Oh, I bought it from Adams." And he's like, "Well, you called us at the rag company, right?" And he's like, "Oh crap. So he literally had, the Adams sticker on the bottle, and he calls us, because he wanted some help. And you know what? We still helped him. We still guided him through it. And
you wonder why companies create black waxes, right?
We're big fans. I don't know if you can see the reflection right over my shoulder. Says
there you go.
There you go.
We got fans and we're, we talk to those guys. Ian, you sell IK sprayers. The guys that sell them are awesome guys, and so it's, I just see it as us trying to help them.
Sure, totally.
And we're providing an education to our customers, regardless of where it came from, because it's a good product and those guys are really good. And I want to take care of them. I want to try and help them out regardless of who sold it. We'll still answer the question. It was really funny for some reason in my head, I was like, did you buy that from us?
Yeah.
So
it does happen.
Crap. No, I didn't.
But
sorry.
Go ahead.
So I guess to kind of, before we move on from that topic, I did want to ask, so Jimbo, out of pretty much, and just be honest, out of all the sealants that you've been testing over the last 6 months, like, what are your top three, in terms of that specific category? What do you like the most?
I think it comes down to, that's really hard. That's a really hard question.
Well, there's been a ton, man.
And it comes down to, I don't think you can have like one list of three because there's so many factors that come into it, right? So if you want, like, some people like a liquid over a spray, right? Yeah. So though I don't think that the M27 is good on durability, I think it's easy to use. And so if you want that kind of like wax on, wax off, or use a machine and apply a sealant, fine, apply it and then maintain it with some sort of spray. Top three,
I mean, just a well-rounded, like, if you're going to go grab it and you're going to go detail your own car,
right,
or the thing that you as a user have the best experience with, that you tend to cling towards, what do you like? I mean,
so in no particular order, I would grab the Griot's 3-in-1 ceramic spray. I would definitely have either Turtle Wax Sealant Shine or the ceramic spray. And then I also like, I took a big old crap on them in the beginning, and then they revised their formula or something. But the last coat, even though it's expensive, the last coat is good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I've tried 2 of those 3. I've not tried the last coat, but I will say that when I used Seal and Shine, I was like, this is pretty good. I really like this.
And I like to cut Seal and Shine with water because sometimes it'll streak for me a little bit and then I get frustrated by that. So I always opt for like applying something more often anyway. So if I can, even if I'm not getting, I know that's like an off-label use, but I'll try to cut back on the streaking a little bit by just cutting it with water,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then you still get that feeling of that low surface tension, that slickness,
right? And
it's still kind of, you still feel like you're doing something. And I think that's the funny part about, every consumer nowadays, or whether they're an enthusiast or a hobbyist or even a pro detailer. I mean, some people always need the satisfaction of the way that feels on the panel, right? They need to be putting something on there after every single wash, because in their head that creates a better experience for them. And I try to dive deep into the psychology of that all the time. What makes them, reach for a certain product, and why do they do that? Why is this product, a better seller than these other ones? And because I'm always curious, I like people's thoughts on it. And I think that, nowadays, people are putting protection on the protection on the protection on the protection until that stuff starts streaking like a mother. And they, and then they say, why does it streak? And I say, well, how much stuff do you have
What's on your
this?
car?
Then,
right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We had a guy call us, and turned out he was local to us, but he called us first and messaged Anthony on Instagram, was like, this not working. Bead maker's not working, blah, blah, blah. And that was just one of them. And then Anthony's like, looks him up and he's like, you're in Boise. You can come down to the store. And he rolled up and he goes, yeah, it doesn't work. Garbage, blah, blah, blah. And we look at it and we're like, well, what do you have on there? What's on there right now? And he's like, oh, I got 7 products stacked on top of each other.
Right.
And we were like, seriously? And he's like, yep, I did this, then I did this, then I did this. And it's like wax, sealant, quick detailer, spray sealant,
bead maker's fault.
Bead, it's like 10 things on top of each other.
Right.
And then he's putting bead maker and he's wondering why it's not working. And then we look at his paint and we're like, and this was a really poor respray. Have you clayed this? Have you polished it? He's like, nope, I haven't done any of that. Bought the car, put all this stuff on top. It's like, so Anthony and I got out there, alcoholed the whole thing down, pulled out a polisher, just did a quick pass with it, polished it all down, and then just sprayed alcohol again, and then put a little bead maker on it. And he's like, wow, that didn't streak at all. It's like, well, You gotta, it doesn't matter if it's bead maker or if it's the last coat or it's, you know, any of the new turtle, like it doesn't matter what the product is. If you're trying to stack it on top of 7 other companies, it's not gonna play nice.
And what towel did you use? Was that towel new or old or fresh? Or what's in the towel?
Exactly.
You know, that's one thing that Ian's really kind of shed light on for me is that some of these sealants and stuff can build up in the fibers of the towels, and then either your detergent isn't releasing all those, or just some is staying on there, and then you think you think you have a clean, fresh towel, and you don't. You know.
Yeah.
So you guys probably get this all the time, and I have rag company customers coming to me saying, "Oh, this towel doesn't absorb." And my first question is all, "Okay, what product are you using with it?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm using this silica spray." And I'm like, "Okay, silica spray is going to make your towel not absorb."
And
it doesn't matter whether it comes from you or comes from us.
No,
it's microfiber.
It's just going to
microfiber is doing its job, and it's grabbing and holding on to all those particulates like it's supposed to. You know,
and I've really been trying to dive down the rabbit hole, and I've probably wasted I don't know how many different gallons of product at this point. I'm trying to figure out different pre-soaks and things like that to actually completely break down the sealant or whatever is inside the towel without necessarily stripping the towel completely of its color, or you know what I mean? Because people have such a high standard of what they want, right? And before they realize they need to buy a new towel, that they want to revive these towels that they have used a silica spray sealant or they've used whatever it is, and then they've let it dry out on a shelf.
Let it sit
and then
for
next you know that towel is completely sealed. So I've been playing with a lot of different things to say, okay, this is a way to zap this out without doing the color, without doing this. I've been again going through I don't know how many different chemicals, trying to do pre-soaks and all this stuff, and that's another thing I've been doing here in a lot of this downtime.
Yeah, so I've done some pretty thorough testing on this. Like I've used different silica sprays, and then like I've gotten the towels all saturated the same, and then let them soak in just water, or just water and detergent, or water and a vinegar solution. You know, so that I'm like applying different pH balances to them, and I couldn't find a difference in terms of how it stopped the chemical reaction or whatever. So one thing, and I've talked to multiple chemists about this, trying to come up with a specific product that's going to neutralize your coating from, like making your towel hydrophobic. A lot of the multiple chemists have come back and said, look, it doesn't make sense to throw your towel. So, and here's the feedback that I get from a lot of people is that they will throw their coating towels into a bucket of water or a bucket of water,
like APC or something,
APC or whatever, and they get multiple uses out of the towels, right? And I can kind of confirm that, right? So when you go back and test the absorbency, the towels don't absorb as much. But when a chemist looks at it, they say, wait a second, water actually accelerates the curing process with ceramic coatings and with silica.
In some cases, absolutely, yeah.
And so when you go back and think about it logically, what actually might be happening when you're throwing the towel into a bucket of water is, the fibers are all filling up with the water, and it's pushing out the chemical out from the fibers. And then it's also making the chemical reaction happen faster, so that the curing isn't happening inside the towel, right? It's happening in the water. So that's the explanation that I can come up with, is that it's actually, the fibers, rather than the chemical drying into the fibers and making it hydrophobic, the fibers are filling up with the water and pushing the chemical out. And then the chemical reaction is actually happening faster. So it doesn't happen inside the towel.
Well, so a good example would be, if you've ever used, or, if you've ever basically done a coating job, right, and you've had a bucket of water or whatever it may, let's just say take a straight bucket of water, and you take those coating towels and you throw it into the water, right? What I have noticed is putting my hand in the water and then rubbing my fingers together, right? I notice a slickness, right? There's something now in all of the water. It's not just located in the towel anymore, right? And so the fastest way I've been, and this is unrealistic, right? Whether it's a spray sealant, whether it's SiO2 based, or whether it's a coating, or whatever it is. If I take the towel immediately and throw it in the washer, throw vinegar, throw some detergent in there, and then maybe throw a splash of APC in there, I will notice a reduction. How do I say? I will be able to use that towel again, right? Maybe a handful of times, right? But it's still, I've already cut that life in half, right? In terms of what I can expect it to do again. And so it's kind of hard, and especially knowing how consumers use these towels and use, pretty much any product for that fact. A big thing for people using a drying aid, right? And let's just say they're using a drying towel and they're spraying their drying aid on the surface and they're drying it in. The first thing that comes to their head is, oh, I need to dry this towel out. I'm going to go set this towel over a chair, or set this towel over something, and then hang dry it, right? Yeah. Well, that's going to dry as well, right? And so it's kind of hard, but again, I've been trying to experiment with different things, and like I said, I've come a little ways, but I haven't got to where the consumer would be completely satisfied, and who knows how long that will take.
Let me ask you this. Have you noticed a difference? And because this is the feedback that I get from multiple detailers trying to test this stuff, is that the lower GSM towels that have less microfiber in them, that lifespan after you use them and soak them is less, and the heavier the towel, they get more uses out of it. Like they can do this multiple use with soaking the towel for longer with a heavier towel. And I think part of that just
what I've noted,
like a certain percentage of the fibers or whatever are becoming, clogged, I guess, for lack of a better term, and a higher GSM towel that actually has more microfiber in it is gonna, the percentage is gonna be less and less, so you could use it, a few more times.
So what I've noticed, like I said, this is really going down the rabbit hole, but is the style of weave that the towel is, right? It plays a huge difference on how well that's going to absorb and how well it's going to push around. And so, for example, a short pile twist loop weave, right, or something of that nature, it seems that tends to push a little bit more than maybe a longer looped twist loop. Or like something like an ultra plush would do. And so I feel like the ultra plush will eventually absorb, even though if its first reaction is to be hydrophobic, it may eventually start picking up, and it may start to become more and more usable as you go on, as more damp the towel gets. But in some other cases where it's like like a pearl weave, or let's just say it's a traditional terry weave, I've noticed that it seems like that fills up the fibers faster, and that definitely does clog them to the point where it really is just pushing stuff around.
Well, and it's funny to notice that, because pearls and cherries are two of the most common for coatings.
Yeah. So I've noticed the same thing, and my theory on it is that like the longer fibers, right? Like you wipe something up, and the longer you're wiping in a direction, and so one side of the fibers as you wipe is being covered with whatever product and sealing it. And so the next time you go to use it, the other side of the fibers might be a little bit more, still have the absorbency, where when you're using like a shorter pile towel, there's less of that surface area on the other side of the fiber. So that's the only explanation I can think of why the longer pile twist or the longer pile like plush towels don't lose their absorbency with these hydrophobic products as fast as the lower pile ones.
Yeah.
And I can see that as very viable.
Yeah, and we try to tell people, hey, like when it comes to a coating job, right? And let's just say people are using a pearl weave, or they're using a shorter nap, a lower GSM towel, as like a kind of a one-time use towel, or they'll use it and then demote it. I try to give them the best direction with that as possible, and I try to say, hey, do you demote towels in your shop, right? Is that a system that you currently have in place, to where you have a bin of essentially shop towels to clean up oil or to clean up really dirty things? And some do, some don't. But I try to let them know. I say, hey, if you're doing this coating job that you're getting paid this X amount for, right? And usually it's a pretty good chunk of money. I try to just tell them, really try to calculate that, into that job, that these towels may not be used again, depending on this coating that you're using, or depending on what product that you're using as your last step protectant there. And I tell people that, if you're using, let's just say 3 to 4 coating towels per job or whatever you're doing, and you calculate that out, that's $3 or $4. If you can, count on losing that $3 or $4 and not reusing those towels again for that purpose, it's probably your best bet to not give your hopes up. But, a lot of people, they like to save money and they look at towels as an investment. So I can see that it's kind of hard to say, well, I'm just supposed to throw these away or not use them again. I say, well, you can use them again. It just may not give you the result that you're looking for.
I think that's a great point. I mean, just don't reuse towels. Just buy new towels every time.
Yeah.
Right?
Every single time.
Every single time, no matter what you do.
Over and over.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea. Like, you make her the car once and throw the towel
doing
out.
it.
Why not? Yeah. Just buy more towels.
And we have some great websites that you can go to find these towels.
I got
That's
an
what I'm
idea.
saying. So the gist of this podcast, don't reuse your towels. Just buy new ones.
Yeah.
It's not a bad
All
idea.
new towels.
It's almost like we're
you
biased
don't
or
need those
something.
Yep,
anymore.
you don't. It's we're not recommending to reuse microfiber towels, especially with COVID-19. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Don't do
Well, I was going back when Ian, when you were talking about China and deliveries and stuff. One thing, we tried to do this year, Jeff was very, he always feels like after Chinese New Year, like we just never get enough product. We never plan properly for the next year. And this year he was like, for 2019, he's like, I am not going to be out of product. And so thankfully he spent all of 2019 gearing up and buying more towels and more product that we could have on hand.
We obviously
so
didn't know
when
this was
March
going to
hit-
happen.
Right. But he was like, when March hits and he goes, and detailing season's full and, and in swing, we're going to have plenty of product. We're not going to run out. We're not going to have any issues that way. And thankfully, when shipments stopped coming and they started shutting the ports down, and we were waiting for bills of lading to make sure products were on. Thankfully, we had backstock already in that we had been gathering all year. So,
and in previous years,
weird.
that may not have been the case. So,
yeah, well, it wouldn't have been the case last year.
Yeah.
If this had hit, 2018 and then 2019, we wouldn't have been in the situation. So, it was very fortunate, I guess, for
there's a lot of lessons being
Jeff
learned
said, like,
now.
And I think a lot of that goes down to, just planning for everything, whether it's in your life or work or, having a game plan for it. So,
So, I mean, and you guys know in this business that, you have to have inventory and to be able to have sales, right? So, man, I've got a huge inventory that I've, that I just keep in case something like this happens, right? So I learned a lesson in 2008, 2009. The same thing happened. And I lost a lot of business because I didn't have the products in stock. So, since then it kind of is like, you kind of have to hoard product and have a big back stock of them to be able to fulfill. So like our business, we could survive like without any shipments for like 4 to 6 months. So, but the only thing is that, there's different products have different ordering velocities, right?
Right.
So, and we're ordering this stuff like 3 to 4 months ahead of time, right? And so the more popular or newer products that we didn't project were going to have the greater sales, we're out of stock on. So it's not easy to figure out. And man, it's hard to project.
Well, you just never know. And like we've had cases where, we'll have a run on one product. And it's like, we'll have a container coming with a restock. And then literally while it's on the water, we'll get an order in and 90% of that container is already sold. And Jeff's like, whoa, okay. And he goes right back and files another order with the factory to go, look, this has got to be another priority because I wasn't planning on this random order that just took up the majority of the stock. And it's you don't know. You never know when it's going to happen, but it is always a fine balancing act.
Yeah. Well, space comes at a premium for a lot of this stuff. Obviously, you know, you get to the
that
point
too.
where you want to warehouse stuff. We warehouse a fair amount of different towels and products and things, but there's only so much room in the area that you can expand out to. And then you really do have to kind of, you know, do your calculations, figure out the ordering velocities, as you mentioned, all that stuff. And it's just not having a bunch of stock of things, you know, aren't going to sell anytime soon because then they're eating up space that could be better occupied by something that will move. But yeah, that's the game.
Yeah, we're gonna start storming at your house, Dane.
Yeah, my house is not very big. I'll have you know, you wouldn't have much fun with that.
You have a guest bedroom. You have a garage that the Jag obviously doesn't need a park in, right? Yeah,
obviously not.
You can make you a towel throne if you would like. Although we can build it with some glue and some paper towels. And some microfiber. It'll be fantastic.
I don't know, Fiber King. What do you got over there? You got a towel throne already?
Yeah. So I've got my couch back here.
I was going to say.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So the similar thing happens. Like, I mean, you guys know, like my products, I'm always coming up with weird ideas and testing stuff and throwing stuff out there. Lots of times, half of the time, more than half of the time, it's a crap product that nobody likes.
But you don't know if you don't try.
No, you don't know. And then a lot of the time you'll come up with an idea, think it's going to sell good, and then it doesn't sell. And then a year later, it starts selling really well. Or there's been other times when I've come up with a product idea. It sat in the warehouse for a year or two, you know, it didn't really sell. And then like I come up with a new way to sell it on Amazon, and then it's like the best seller on Amazon. Right. So I don't know if you guys you come up with a product for something and you don't sell it, and then it's like you come up with another way to sell it, and it can be a great product for some other use or something.
We had a little towel that we had issues selling, and now it's the best thing ever because it works really well with solution finish.
Yeah.
So it's become an amazing solution finish towel. And we were like, what are we going to do with these towels? We never had it didn't work. And so solution finish came along, and now it's an indispensable part of it.
Yeah.
So. Well, it's also an evolution of also what's going on in the chemical world itself too. I mean, like a lot of these weaves and all the different styles of towels and sizes of towels. I mean, I bet did a lot of people know that eventually there would happen to be a perfect chemical to pair with this towel? No. I mean, if anybody said back in the day that, hey, you can use this small little piece of suede to wrap around your applicator for ceramic coating, if you said that, 20 years ago, they'd be like, what do you mean you would use that? Or how would that even be possible? But it seems like a lot of the things have just kind of lined up.
Well, like Pad Wars 2018, that we were all a part of that.
Oh boy.
Ian,
it was 2017.
2017, Pad Wars 2017, when we were all coming out with our wash pads. Remember? And we were getting people were coming back at us. And
who knew? People on the internet have opinions.
Yeah. But you had a great comment, was that, guys, this isn't anything new. This was mop technology 20 years ago.
Yeah.
We've been selling mops for 20 years with this type of technology. Just because now we turn it into a wash pad and we're using it to wash cars, it's not new science.
Well, and twist loop. I mean, for microfiber towels, twist loop technology too. I mean, that's towel technology. That's bath towel.
I'll flat out and say it. When I saw the first twist loops and felt the first twist loops, I was like, "This is weird."
Oh no, I said it felt like a burlap sack. Is what it felt like.
I was
to me.
like,
the first one I felt. I was like,
it's a mop. It's a wet mop material, right? So
right. Yeah.
The reason that wet mops are made with that twist is because it reduces the friction, right? So like you take a microfiber dust mop and get it wet and try to mop on the floor, and it just creates too much friction, right? You can't even push it. And so that's why the twist loop is what it was for mop, so you could actually push the mop across the floor. Now the same thing happened, right? It's like, when whoever decided to make it into a towel, like I rejected it for a couple of reasons. The first reason was because it feels rough. The people don't like a towel that feels
perception rough. Is half the
There's that factor, and then the second factor is the poles you get, right? So you start to use them, and it catches on an emblem or a panel or whatever, and that part. So it's almost like somebody had to break the barrier and bring them to market and kind of, prove that customers didn't care about those issues.
Yep.
Once you show people how it actually functions, it's just kind of an, oh, duh, wow, that's actually great. But you have to get them that far first.
Exactly. So I think one reason, it feels rougher, but it creates less friction. So you don't have to push as hard on the surface to dry, and you're going to be less likely to scratch.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the way I look at it. Right. Because when you have a real plush towel and you put it on a wet surface, you have to push really hard.
Oh, it's like taking the neighbor's cat and just dragging it across your car. Right. It's not really a great feeling, especially if it's been raining out. And no, don't want that. I was going to say, as far as that goes, that's definitely one of those things that people have come around on, but it does help when there's actually, a lot of people on YouTube out there reviewing products, actually showing people how this stuff works. I'm looking at Jimbo over here because, there's been this renaissance of, YouTube into this whole DIY platform, all this stuff. And now people are, especially now they're at home spending a lot of time watching YouTube videos. I'm sure you've seen an increase in your views, Jimbo, probably. Yeah.
Yep.
Any particular trends you're noticing that people are kind of gravitating towards?
I haven't really looked that deep into it. It was obviously the bigger name brands do those videos always perform better. And if you could be one of the first handful with a new product from a big brand, that's always kind of the best.
Sure.
What was interesting was I kind of started to see an uptick before this whole lockdown thing happened. Okay. And so I wasn't sure if but then it continued through at least last month. And so I don't know, that was kind of interesting to me. Like, why did that start to happen early?
So it didn't feel connected to anything.
It didn't really feel connected, but there definitely was an uptick, but who knows,
Well, a lot of it, I think, is the weather. I think it's a lot. It was a lot of people already kind of pre-planning and going like, oh man, it's getting warm outside. I need to get working on the car. I want to start, I'll start watching some videos and see what I need to get. Yep. And then lo and behold, a month later, they're all sitting at home.
Totally.
Because they're working from home and they're like, okay, now I can finally do that. So I think it kind of was that, kind of timeline, I guess you could say.
Makes sense. Totally makes sense.
Yeah, they're looking to see, because a lot of people want to see something perform on video so they kind of know what to expect. Totally. Even if it's like, oh, that's a product I was thinking about, they could be swayed one way or the other just based on what they see happen on screen. So there's people who have a very strong idea going in, and then they watch and suddenly you change their mind entirely. That can happen too. But I was just curious if you ever had an instance of, you got a really strong fan response to something you didn't expect, because when he was mentioning earlier about a lot of work goes into a product, you're trying all these different things, seeing what sticks. Mm-hmm. I feel like that when I'm editing a video, I put all this time and effort into one I'm really proud about, and I get it out there. Nobody watches it.
It's usually the opposite of what you think too, right?
And then the ones I'm just like, oh God, just get it out. And then when it does, boom, there it is.
I was trying to think of one that's happened a few times. I was trying to think of the most recent one, but it didn't come to mind, where I was like, I just kind of put it out and I'm like, whatever, this one's, I'll just like randomly put it out. It's going to suck, And then it just took off and I was like, what the heck? And then
what did you tap into?
Yeah.
I don't know. And then I go back to try to reverse engineer it. And I'm like, I did everything the same. I have no idea, So
the right person shared it in the right place, I guess.
It comes down to emotions, right? Like people, and that's what clickbait is all about. Right.
Mr. Cheap versus expensive over here. Yeah. It's pretty effective, I would
say. You guys have to follow like a fine line between being outlandish and but still drawing somebody's attention to send them a message.
Yeah. Well, and Jimbo, being someone, you're in a position where you're kind of an independent creator. You can do your own thing. You choose what you want to do, what you don't want to do. Hey, I like Ian over there. I'll work with him. I like this other company. I'll work with them. It's tough. It's a different kind of tough for you, where you get these people who are just like, oh, you're paid off by blah, blah, blah. Say this. It's the constant things you hear. For us, it's like a weird reverse version of that, where we're already a company, but we're trying to put videos out there. Mm-hmm. And it's just trying to figure out like how you present yourselves to the audience, because you're going in at a disadvantage. Like, you're a company, you're biased. Tough. You're not going to be able to tell us anything truthful.
Totally.
Anybody who knows us knows, no, we're actually trying to be the most honest and transparent we could possibly be, more so than a company would ever normally do. I mean,
you guys have
really
a lot tougher than I do, I think.
Try and be more presentable that way. But it is tough because people automatically
have
don't
a little
believe
more,
you.
and you do have a little more freedom than we do.
Right.
With what you can say and what you can do. And for us, we're limited by, we only use on our videos the products that we sell.
Mm-hmm.
But we only carry them because there's stuff that we actually like to begin with.
We do have a vested interest in it, in the sense that we are going to try and sell it to you. But like Dane says, Anthony and I curate all the products that we carry. We don't carry a product unless Anthony and I, say so, and have actively used the product and spent time with the product. And for a lot of things, people don't understand is we're not going to bring a product to market, especially a detailing product, unless we've got at least 1 year of testing behind it.
Right.
And for a lot of companies that come to us, they go, hey, I want to get in on the rag company. I want you guys selling my stuff.
They think it's automatic or something.
We put that first thing, like, we would love to help you do that. We would love to try it out, but here, hard and fast rule right off the bat.
Right.
You got 1 year before we're going to be able to sell it. And if they're in for just the quick buck to try and get us to sell it, maybe that's not a company we want to do business with.
Facebook companies, if you will.
But if they're willing to go, I trust you guys, I believe in you guys, and they want to jump on that journey with us, then cool. That would be great. I mean, Beadmaker was 1 year to the day of the day we got it to the day we started selling it, that was literally the day we both started using it, Anthony and I. It was 1 year. And I remember one of the companies reached out and laughed and said, we've been talking for 1 year. I never thought it would happen, but here we are still trying to get this, get this product to market. And it was like, no, we're not
how we roll.
I'm not into just selling everything.
Right.
I want to sell good products that work, because it comes back in customer service, because we're going to have to answer those questions.
Right. Right.
Anthony is the IK whisperer officially at our
he doesn't
store
like
here.
doing that, but he is.
They find him every which way. They find him.
But
it's a curse and a blessing. Yeah.
But Ian, you understand that. I mean, the amount of customer service questions you also have to field. If you were like Auto Geek and had 40 different products, like I don't know how they
4,000 different products.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot of products. A lot of different products. And I do most of the products I sell, like 95% of them are all products that we've kind of created from the ground up. I'm not like reselling. The only product I really resell much of is American Detailer Garage. But besides that, most of the products are products like that I've created or we've created, with customers, where the customer has a problem or trying to solve a problem for the customers. Yeah. And man, and Jimbo watches how long it takes me to come out with a product. Like I'll give him a sample of something and, it'll be 4 to 6 months before it's available. Right. And but what I do is we come up and we prototype stuff and send them out to people like Jimbo or Billy at American Detailer Garage. They give me feedback, tell me why it works or it doesn't. And so, for part of the reason you want to do that is because when you come out with a crap product, it's not worth it. Right.
Right.
You need someone to tell you no.
Yeah.
That's how we are with towels.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So one thing, I don't know, have you guys ever, and here's another thing that I've been doing. I've been listening to a lot of more audio books lately and podcasts or whatever, but there's this one book called Skin in the Game. Have you guys heard of this book by Nassim?
I have. Yeah. I haven't read it, but I've heard it.
So it's a great book that really, kind of talks about this stuff in a more general sense. And what it's about is kind of lots of things work in theory, right? And that happens with products or making videos, right? You can think that something's going to work, but you have to put the rubber to the road and actually do things in the real world to actually gain the true knowledge, right? So thinking about stuff in your mind, can only take you so far. You have to actually get there. And so that's kind of goes to the way that I try to create products is, just making small little iterations over time and getting feedback and then creating something new. based upon the feedback. And what that is, a lot of it just has to do with the fact that it's impossible to judge what consumers really want and what they think. You really just have to.
It's hard to guess right.
Yeah, you have. Exactly. And sometimes you can guess right. But man, that's like a 1 in 10 chance. It's way easier to actually be in there doing the work. Right. And that's why you guys are really successful with the videos and everything. And I think you learn like subconsciously, right? Like you might not know, but Jimbo has been creating these videos and seeing which ones work and which don't. And he might not be able to articulate that idea, but just
probably not.
Right. But it's probably, it's hard. Same thing with creating products, right? You can't really articulate the idea there, but you have this knowledge inside you that is like subconscious or something that you've gained through, just putting the rubber to the road.
Yeah, that all started as customer service for us. That's why we did it, is so we could operate 24/7 while we're away. People could still get answers.
Yeah.
Well, and like to that topic, like Jeff will show up and he'll go, I got this great idea. What if we do this? And he'll come to Anthony and Anthony and I will either agree or disagree.
That's a horrible idea.
Or one of us will go,
we've done that many times.
Whoa, that's awesome. And the other one's like, are you guys crazy? How's that going to work? Or that's stupid. Or the three of us will come up with an idea and we're like, oh my gosh. And then we'll go to one of our other guys, John, who's the COO. He's
harsh reality.
Yeah. He is always the buzzkill. And he will go like, okay, guys, that's fine. Jeff, yeah. Levi, yeah. Anthony, yeah. But you guys don't understand. I have to do this. What's
that going to do to the warehouse? What's that going to do to that? Yeah.
At the end game. And we're like, okay, all right. You're right. All right, let's go back and figure something out. So sometimes people think it's as easy as like, why don't you just make this? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. He'll just say, I'm not shipping that. He'll say, yeah, that's straight up. I'm not shipping it. And I say, well, but come on, couldn't you find a box to make this work? He's like, nope, not going to do that. Never. And I say, okay, well, yes, that's that fine. Idea.
Keep giving me foldable square things. We'll be good.
Yeah. Yeah. And some people are like, oh man, why don't you make this? You could do this and you could do that. And, there are normal, answers where we're like, well, we can't ship that, or that's already been done, or
that's technically illegal.
That's technically illegal. We can't do that, But some people think it's just as easy as like, why don't you just turn on the switch and make that for me? It's like, well, the MOQ is a little high on something like that.
Right.
And that's a
and we're gonna sell
we don't really
them.
want to. Yeah, we don't. You're the only person that's asked about this.
They just happen to be louder than everyone else, so it looks like a lot of people. It's just that one person.
Yeah. So it is back to that, just kind of hoping and guessing and trying to figure out what is it that we can create, the best way forward for folks that is going to make their lives easy. Is it going to make it better for them? Are they going to be able to be more efficient? So. Yeah. Anyway, that's all we could. We could go on
all day about this stuff. It is fun.
Another hour and a half.
Totally.
But I know we've got places to be and stuff to do as well. So I want to give. Go ahead.
I want to definitely just reiterate and recommend that book. I don't know. Have you read that book, Anthony? The Skin in the Game.
I haven't. It does sound interesting.
Yeah.
It does sound very interesting. I do want to check it out.
All read it. All his books are good. He's got another one. It's called Black Swan, which is about Black Swan events, which is like what COVID-19 is.
Yeah.
So who's the author?
It's Nassim Nicholas Taleb.
Okay.
Can you spell that for me, Ian?
Taleb. But yeah, so he's got this whole series of books that are very applicable to what's happening now with COVID-19, because it's about this thing. A lot of it's about this thing called tail risk. He's like a hedge fund investor.
Okay.
And so, there's these risky things that you kind of have to prepare for. And it also talks about the tyranny of the minority, right? Like listening to that 3% of the people, like sometimes they can take over because they're louder. Dane just,
The downvotes on the video that make you think, was I
right?
wrong?
Right.
Yeah, right. I mean, and you guys deal with that all the time with, you know, people are just crazy on social media, and there's that one person who's just like, you know, crazy.
Won't stop.
Oh yeah. Oh, they're out there for sure.
Yeah.
No, that's excellent advice. I think that goes to the audience as well, guys. Check it out. I was going to give you guys an opportunity. I know you both got to go here soon, but please, starting with Ian and then Jimbo, plug your stuff. Tell us about you. Get it to the audience, and I'll put links in the description below so people can follow up with you.
Yeah, well, I am Ian from Autofiber, and like I was telling you guys, I've been, you know, struggling with this idea of changing our name to the Fiber King. You know, I would change my name.
April Fool's was a couple days ago, Ian.
I would be.
That means he's serious.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to change my name to Ian Exotic.
Yeah, like that. It's
That's
catchy.
got flow. That's nice.
I do too. I
Are
like
you
it.
gonna bleach your hair too and grow a mullet?
I was trying to come up with a way to do a mullet, but I buzzed my head the other day. All the, you know, hair, you can't get a haircut.
Right.
Yeah. No, I did my own. So
I'm Ian from Autofiber. I am the rag company's #1 rival.
Number one.
It's true, but you know what? We like you. You're all right.
We are rivals, but we are
Our favorite
rivals, right?
Yeah.
So like, you guys motivate me to do better and to create better product.
Vice versa.
Yeah. And we're like, I don't know. People always try to get me to say bad things about you guys and your products, but I just won't.
Same.
Keep trying.
Keep
trying.
I like you guys, and I consider you guys my friends. So
Well, we like you.
I'll always stand up for the rag company, even though you guys are my competitor.
It's built in, man.
We do the same. You know, our whole goal is to get people on premium microfiber, whether it comes from us or it comes from you.
Yeah.
So
at least take that step, you know, for the big box, come to the world.
It's like, it's like we're missionaries and we're trying to convert people. It's like we're spreading the truth of microfiber, you know?
No, so I really do appreciate you guys having me on here. You know,
no, of course. And I'd like to do it again individually with you guys, have like a more in-depth, you know, have a chat with you, even if it's during this whole thing. Maybe we could just find another time to catch up and dive even deeper. It might be fun. So and Jimbo.
Yeah, for sure. I'm Jimbo. I do the auto detailing podcast and do a YouTube channel called Jimbo's Detailing. And so, you can look it up any podcast player or on YouTube or Google or autodetailingpodcast.com.
Excellent. It's like he's done this before. Okay. So with that said, really appreciate everybody for being here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy days. And it's been fun. It really has, genuinely. So we look forward to doing this again. And to all you watching, make sure you're subscribed. Go check out these guys' different platforms, their products, all that stuff. They're good people. Otherwise, we wouldn't have them on here. So thank you guys, and we'll catch you later. Adios.
All right. See you.
See ya.
See you guys.